Israel, there is a great and overriding skepticism, cynicism, not only about our potential peace partners on the other side, the Palestinians or the rest of the Arab and Muslim world, but there's a great skepticism about our ability to rely on those who should be, who once were, who we believe could be still our friends and allies in the Western world. And that skepticism and that cynicism is a very important element of our fear for the future. But having said that, the fear of a nuclear Iran, the almost certainty of a renewed barrage of attacks by Hezbollah, the certainty of continued hostility from Hamas, the certainty of the support of those terrorist organizations by not only rejectionist and radical Arab or Muslim elements, like, for instance, Libya, who just sponsored the latest in a series of ships trying to break the legal maritime blockade on Gaza, which I can share with you now, I just heard a half an hour ago, agreed finally after 8 hours of confrontation by the Israeli Defense Forces on the high seas, not military confrontation, but constant communications back and forth, has just agreed about an hour ago to divert its course and go to El Arish instead of trying to continue to break that maritime blockade. And let me share with you how important that is. Yes, indeed. It is worthy of our applause, it's worthy of our approbation, because it's an important element in understanding why Israel is a spearhead for all of us, for all the free world, in standing up to the forces of those who would support the militant terrorist elements of Hamas, and an important gesture and statement that to here and no farther will we be able to bend in appeasing those who would support these terrorist elements in their attacks on Israel as well as on the rest of the free world. What I wanted to say, though, what's more important, is aside from this fear and this cynicism, Israel stands strong with a firm commitment not only to continuing to build a thriving, burgeoning economy and culture and society, but the creative energy, as it were, that is part and parcel of the Jewish people and our re-emergence on the stage of national politics, as it were, our experiment, if you will, as sometimes I call it, of renewed Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. This creative energy, which has brought incredible developments in technology, as well as cultural development, the creation of a democratic, a truly liberal, tolerant, democratic society, the only of its kind in the Middle East, as well as one which gives humanitarian aid far beyond our percentage, as it were, economically or militarily, of other nations in the world, not only to Haiti, but even, and funny enough, a few years ago to Turkey, after their terrible earthquake 3-4 years ago. We not only will survive, but we are committed as a people to thrive. And not only thrive, but to defend ourselves against an Iran, or a Hamas, or a Hezbollah, who militarily threaten us, or a Turkey, or others in Europe, unfortunately, elsewhere, who would delegitimize us and threaten us on the stage of the battle for public opinion. This brings me to connect again to why I haven't shaven for the last 2.5 weeks, because the Jewish people have a very long memory. We understand the reality of the threats that we face, and we are committed with that long historical memory to ensure that not only do we do our utmost to defend our people, but also to stand at the spearhead of the effort to defend the entirety of the free world with whom we share so tremendously strongly the values of freedom and democracy. And what's important about that, and here I come to the end and some prescriptions, as it will, for American policy. What's important about that is to understand that we are in this together. Number one, America has to reclaim the moral clarity that we had, not only as far back as in World War II, But if you think of, for instance, Ronald Reagan's acknowledgement of the Soviet Union, calling it the evil empire, naming it, and defining the most important principle of his foreign policy was not containing, not embracing or engaging, but confronting that evil empire.